Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Alex from Alex's Innovations. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 6 of my top tips for making alpha bracelets. Before I begin, I just want to apologize. I have not been putting out regular videos for the last couple of weeks, and this is because although this channel is very important to me, it's not as important as my health and my academics, and I do apologize, but I'm really trying my best. I have a lot of custom orders to get on top of, and I really appreciate that you guys are still sticking with me and that you're being as supportive as you guys are. So after what was probably the shortest introduction on my entire channel, let's get started. So the first tip I have for you is to make a shaped start and a shaped end on your bracelet once you're done. I actually created a tutorial for this and I'll leave it down in the description, but it really helps to make your bracelet, although it doesn't really work on bracelets that are more than like 25 strings because as you can see this one's like a little bit wobbly, but if you're wearing it, like if it's curved, then it should not be a problem. But anyway, what this does is it creates a nice triangle shaped start, which makes your bracelet look really, really nice. And I have also replicated this in a shaped end tutorial. So I'll leave the links for both of those down in my description. I recommend that you don't start with this if this is your first time making an alpha bracelet, your first or second time, but this can look really, really nice, especially on smaller bracelets. Like I made this one for a custom order. It's a name bracelet. It says Kaylee. And you can make a shaped end for this one as well. I really like the shaped start and it helps it look a little bit more professional. My second tip is to use forward-backward and backward-forward knots on the edges of your bracelet instead of typical forward and backward knots, because what this does is your bracelet might have a little bit of a wobbly look to it, especially at the end, because the knots will be sticking out. And so someone suggested this to me on Instagram. I'm so sorry, I forgot your name. But this is common practice and most people do this after they've done a couple of alphas. What this does is this will create a much flatter edge to your alpha and it will help it look a lot more professional. Basically this video is how to make your alpha look better. So these are some tips to help your alphas look better. Step 3 is to use flat alpha technique. I'm using that on this bracelet, and what this does is it helps to give your bracelet a lot less of a bumpy look, especially when you transfer strings. So I'll just show you a quick example, although Masha has a much more detailed tutorial on her channel, which I'll leave in the description. So right now I'm switching from my black string to my white string, and so I just knotted with the black string, and so I'm taking my white string, and on the next bass string I'm going to do the first half of a backward knot, and then I'm going to bring my black string over and around. So what this does is with the second half of my backward knot with the white string, I'll actually be knotting over the black string. And then if I were to keep knotting with this white string, I would just put the black string underneath these bass strings, but actually my next thread is a black thread. So I'll do this again. So now I'm taking the black thread and I will do the first half of a backward knot over the next bass thread. And then I'll take the thread that I was working with earlier and I'll put that over to the side. And then I will do the second half of my knot over this thread. So you can see that this gives it a much nicer look, and actually I'm switching, oh my god, I'm switching to white again as per my pattern. This is going to be a llama, in case if you're wondering. A lot of people on my Instagram said it looked like a corgi, which is understandable, but she's going to have a bow tie. This is for a custom order. I typically don't make alphas this large, but I do make custom orders, so what you can do is you can actually send me any pattern that you'd like, and I'll make it for you. It can be a normal pattern, it can be an alpha pattern. I can make your name on a bracelet, just like this person Kaylee asked me to do. So if you ever want to make an alpha bracelet, but you feel like you're not ready for it, or if you don't want to spend the time on it, or if you want to have multiple, just slide into my DMs or comment down below. I will send you the link for my custom Etsy listing. And yeah, when using the flat alpha technique, don't forget to switch strings normally on the string before the end. So you don't want to use the technique where you kind of knot halfway over the last string. You don't want to do that when you're switching right before the edge of the bracelet. And this is because if you do that, then the strings will stick out, and I actually made this IKEA bracelet that you see right here. I made that before I knew this trick, so you can see that the yellow strings are kind of sticking out over the side a little bit. But then I was making this bracelet. So I made a TikTok about this bracelet, and so you can see its progress right over there, but I'm afraid that the Mario soundtrack is going to be copyrighted, so I'm just going to sing it. Do 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 do. Okay, yeah. It looks like it was made from like a cross stitch or a needle point, but It's one of my favorite bracelets I've ever made. It's beautiful, honestly. It took me about 10 hours, but it was definitely worth it. And also this one is still for sale. The IKEA one isn't, sorry. You can see how there are no strings sticking out on the sides, and this is because I just switched strings normally at the end of the row. I'm really happy with how that turned out, and that's kind of an example. Just to give you guys another example of how well the flat alpha techniques works, I'm going to show you two bracelets. One is this pastel daisy bracelet, and while this one I really like, as someone put it, it's so wonky, to which I replied, wibbly wobbly timey wimey. That's how I respond to hate comments, because you don't need more hate in the world, so just, you can't hate on them, confuse them, and it'll do the trick. There's that daisy bracelet, and then I'll bring you back to our Rhodes bracelet, which I made, and this was using the flat alpha technique, but this was using 7 colors, which was by far the most colors that I've ever used in a bracelet, but I like how it turned out, and so I'm happy with it. My fourth tip for you is to use twisted ties at the end of a bracelet. Right now I don't have an example of twisted ties on an alpha, but this is a regular. This one's also for sale on my Etsy. It's the watermelon arrowhead. And what I've done is I've done twisted ties on the edges of these. Masha Nuts also has a tutorial on her channel for these, but briefly, you just you separate your strings into 2 separate bundles, and then you twist them the same way, and then you twist them around each other, and then you can knot that at the end. And this, although it's not specifically an alpha technique, it does help your bracelet look a lot nicer, and just more professional overall. Tip number 5 for today is to use crochet thread as your base thread. I like crochet thread a lot because you can buy it in these really big bundles, and they're very, very cheap. As Claire Wears Spams on Instagram did the math, it's about 1.2 cents per yard, as opposed to about 7 cents per yard if you buy them in the smaller skeins. So that's really great. And also, these threads are very slightly thicker than regular threads, so I do recommend, if you are new to alphas, that you make alphas with only the same thickness for your working threads, but for the base threads, I recommend using the crochet thread, which you can see I've done here, because this helps to make your knots look a lot more even, and they're much, much sturdier. They don't fray at all, because you're knotting around them, but you're not using them to knot, so they get a lot more wear and tear. And so these threads are much less likely to break on you unless you pull them really tight, and I knot really pretty tight, and these have never broken on me, which is really nice, whereas all the other threads I've used have at some point. So I'd strongly recommend using crochet thread. I use Aunt Lydia's Fashion 3 size thread. This is a little bit thicker, but if you want to go thinner, then you can use the classic 10, but this was a little too thin for me, I found, so I switched over to Fashion 3, and did the trick for me. My 6th and final tip for you guys today is to make a pattern with only 2 colors for your working thread. And what this does is it will give you a lot less thread to worry about, especially when you're starting out and you don't want to have all your threads floating around. You only have 2 threads, which is really nice. So again, I'd recommend the IKEA bracelet, which I sold, so I can't show you guys now, but here's a picture. Pattern is down below. I think it's 8 strings wide, and this one went pretty quickly. This one took me about an hour and a half, which doesn't sound quick, but it's a lot quicker than this one's gonna take. This one's about 32 strings wide. So yeah, hopefully this video helped you out. Comment down below which of the tips was most helpful for you. And thanks for sticking with me, guys. I love you all so much. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and want to see more, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to keep the bracelets coming. Make sure you hit the bell that says all so you're notified for each one of my new videos. Also, please consider supporting me on Patreon. By contributing just a little bit each month, you can gain exclusive benefits like early access to my videos and bracelets shipped regularly to your front door. My Patreon is Alex's Innovations. The link is in the card and also in the description down below. I just want to give a shout out to my Patreon Simon. They're amazing, and thank you so much for supporting my channel. If you're not already, follow me on Instagram at Alex Innovations. I do polls and surveys there that I later feature in my videos, so by checking out my profile, you can help me make better videos. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.